Hello everyone, welcome to another Puka J Productions video. My name is Ben. I wanted to release this video kind of as a follow-up and a big thank you to YouTube user CFAPS7865 who recently gave us a shout out on his channel. He's got like 25k subs and we got a lot of subs out of it. He really sort of pumped us up and asked his followers to subscribe to us, and we're very thankful for that. Anything we can do to share content, but just wanted to acknowledge that. And this particular video is a follow-up to some of the footage that he shared from us, from one of our talks, our tours around Abu Sir and Abu Ghurab. This video is an interview with Yousef Awyan. It's also his brother Aaron is in this interview. We're not really talking about sites so much as one of his other professions. Both these guys are practicing stonemasons, which gives you a very good insight into what is going on at a lot of these sites. And in this case, we're measuring the electromagnetic induction of different types of stone and the types of stone that are typically found at the most megalithic or the oldest sites that we certainly suspect were there long before the dynastic Egyptians and at the root of many other ancient cultures. We'll go through this talk and this experiment, and then we can speculate a little bit more on whether or not these properties of these stones had anything to do with the way that they were aligned and laid out on these sites. But otherwise, please enjoy, like and subscribe. And if you haven't already subscribed, check out CFAPS7865. His channel is excellent.
So, John Riley, he's a friend, and he invented this machine, and it's supposed to be producing electromagnetic field, or it does electromagnetic induction. So we believe, or like it's a possibility, that the site is dealing with electromagnetic energy in one way or in more than one way. Anyway, we wanted to test the different types of stones, the effect of this device on the different types of stones. So we brought this piece Harun carved to look like a three-dimensional jet pillar, and we brought some of the types of stones that we see usually in the site, which is of course the limestone, and the basalt stone and the granite stone. In the combination, we're going to see the demonstration, and we will see that the limestone is the most powerful stone that inducts that kind of current. شغله حط الحتة الجيري. Give it some time to charge. So of course electricity alone wouldn't be inducted through stone, but electromagnetic is.
And what's the rod made of? Is it just copper?
Basalt.
No,
This one is aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah. And this is basalt.
Yes.
Basalt. Not as strong as granite.
As limestone.
I mean as limestone. Very good. See that?
Yeah. It's making a tiny noise. Is there possible an explanation for why they use so many different types of stones to create the architecture?
In my opinion, there is no doubt that the combination of stones was specifically chosen to accomplish something. You know, nobody just goes to different quarries, hundreds of kilometers far just to build something or for something symbolic, because colors and things like that and drawings can.
Obviously, there was a reason they were encasing all that limestone in granite.
And the two different types of limestone as well. So this is closer to the finer type of limestone.
So the basalt's much stronger now. Like that.
Yeah.
That,
You can see the purple color.
yeah. But the granite still almost nothing.
Yeah, which is amazing. In the beginning, I thought granite would induct it more, but
Alabaster is not conductive.
yes, also
Marble is not conductive.
yeah. Interesting.
That
To
is
find the limestone, especially limestone. He had the gold-plated piece, and the induction in the gold-plated piece was as close or like the same as limestone.
I love
the
that
same strength.
You've made this like a jet killer.
Yeah.
Just,
There is still no conclusion to this because we actually don't know what we are researching for.
Yeah, right.
But of course, geophysicists would understand more about why this combination of stone is chosen, what kind of goals it can achieve or accomplish.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? What you're seeing there are the different electromagnetic induction properties of the different types of stone. Now, EMI can be used as a measure of conductivity. Where this becomes more interesting is when you go to the megalithic sites, you often see, as we're seeing here at Abu Sir, you'll see these types of stone used in combination and often encased or surrounded with each other. So in this case, you're looking at machined basalt blocks. They're on the right here. And they're surrounded by limestone blocks. Now, obviously, it's been heavily eroded. And you can also see this at the Sphinx Temple and many other of the oldest sites where you have basalt, granite, limestone, often things like calcite or quartz, alabaster as well, and we tested some of those stones. What's interesting is that, as you can see here, Luke playing with it, there is an interesting effect that's happened to some of the basalt. And this is not an effect that occurs naturally unless you've got millions of years of exposure to the sun. Basalt doesn't crumble like that, and you can clearly see these are machined blocks of basalt, and you can see like a lovely circular saw cut right there. And again, over here you'll see a saw cut and you'll see some crumbly effects on the basalt. That's what I find particularly intriguing about this is speculating on how this basalt has been eroded on the cut surface when naturally this can only happen with millions of years exposure. You can see here chunks just fall right off it. Particularly also because a lot of these machined surfaces have not been exposed to the sun. They've been encased in limestone or encased in other things. So one might speculate that perhaps there's been some heat cycling or some other techniques or effects used, whether or not these were machines or these sites had a functional purpose. There's certainly some interesting effects here that I think if we took our science and we took an open mind to investigate, we could find some interesting results.
Here at the Yousef pyramid at Abu Sir, at one end of the complex, you can see it's mostly basalt and limestone, which is in contrast to the other end of the complex, which is the Yousef Sun Temple, which we now call Abu Jarab, which is all red granite and limestone. And so that perhaps speaks of different functionality, different purpose. Here, where we see the basalt protecting the limestone and pressed up against the limestone, these are the only places where we see the basalt compromised, where it's literally flaking away, as we saw, like burnt pizza crust. And we also see these incredible saw marks at this part too. But I think there was a different functionality for the basalt, as we saw in the tests in Yousef's studio, the different reactions, running a current through basalt, running it through the red granite, and the difference between running it through the basalt when it's surrounding limestone and when it's just by itself is fairly significant. Here outside Sahur's pyramid complex, you have the red granite lining the limestone. The limestone is still absolutely decayed and crumbling and has fallen away into nothingness in many places. And in other places, it looks like it's been underwater for I don't know how long. So I think we have to ask a couple of questions. One is why, if you're going to use the red granite, why are you using the limestone at all? If you have this red granite and you've brought it all this way and it's beautiful and it's hard as hell and it's super functional, why don't you just make the walls out of the red granite? No problem. Conversely, if you don't want to bring the granite all that way, why don't you just use the limestone? So there's a reason. There's a reason that they're using both, and I think we have to ask, with this, the state of this limestone, is that just weathering, or is that something that happens when you run large amounts of current through it over time?
So, is it a coincidence that the walls, for example, in the Valley Temple, you realize that the granite wall, a very wide wall, and the core of it is limestone. Same like the basalt in Abu Sir also under the granite. The wall in the pyramid structure, the core of it is limestone and then cased with granite on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, and the limestone inside is all
It's all
eroded.
eroded.
It looks
And
like coal
here we have
that's been
here we
underwater.
have some like many opinions in that point especially because for example Dr. Robert Chuck
This is
believes
cortisite.
that these walls are much older than the granite walls, and when the limestone
White
walls
marble.
started to deteriorate, then they renovated it with granite, and still both pre-dynastic or pre-cataclysm.
Nice.
That's why marble is not in the combination of a pyramid structure. You know? Yeah.
There's definitely something going
So,
on.
I have a different opinion about what Dr. Robert Chuck believes, and of course I respect his knowledge. He's much more knowledgeable than me in geology. But as a stone carver, I see that the limestone blocks are shaped in a three-dimensional way to have the granite stone interlocking with it. That means when I'm building this, I'm already putting in my mind that this is going to come and interlock with it. So the proof here is that if the stone, one of the other opinions that the stone is eroded and then, or built with it as and when it was eroded, or that it got eroded, then they renovated the site with the granite as another layer. But we can find the same erosion in the parts that was carved to interlock the granite, which means that erosion is after machining. And we were talking about this with the transformation in the stone. Before, naturally, millions of wonders you can see in the stone naturally. But after machining, then there is something else. But I can imagine it. If the limestone inducted currents of energies like that, would it cause it to deteriorate and look older? Would it affect the molecular structure of it?
Like the basalt, it's touching it as well.
Like the basalt?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The machine surface.
So exactly. So there is no doubt that what we saw in the basalt today, that it crumbles like that, it can happen naturally in basalt.
Yeah.
But when you find it on a surface that looked like it was machined, the sharpness of it, of course, and then the effect happened, or that afterwards, then it
There's
makes
also plenty of basalt there that's been facing the sun for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and it's in perfect
Yeah,
condition.
I don't think the
It's
sun
only
has
the
this
stuff
kind
that's
of
against
effect on
the
basalt.
limestone
Yeah.
that has this.
Yeah, the basalt stone is a plutonic stone, so it's formed in the magma of the volcano. The sunlight or the sun heat, unless it's a plasma event, it's
Right.
not gonna. And plus that crumbling basalt, it's in the inner core, or it's in the core, in the inside part of the wall. We were
Right.
just saying that two layers.
Yeah.
One layer of limestone and the two layers of granite or basalt. So that crumbling part
It's on the
is the one in the inside also. It was not facing the
outside.
the
It was facing
weathering.
It was facing the limestone.
It was facing the limestone. Exactly.
Quite impressed that the basalt, the reaction with the basalt became so much stronger once it was around.
The limestone.
limestone.
Yeah. Perhaps that's why the combination is there to achieve something. It's like one stone can amplify, and I believe the limestone is running through the entire structure.
Yeah.
So that's something that will,
Well,
like a wire.
And then you have the fluid as well. We've got liquid involved in this somehow with the
Yeah.
train set. It's water. Or, I mean,
And we also know about that basin in the temple structure of New Sarra. Supposedly is labeled as a sewer system,
right.
and there is
It's
that
not.
channel carve it from quartzite. We know that there used to be copper pipes running in it, and the liquid was running in it to the basin. And the basin has no point to release any liquid. So is this more of a sewer system to get rid of the liquid, or a system to contain the liquid? That's like, you know.
Yeah, like a
when you
level
label
there,
something, then you see it through the label, and that's sometimes can mislead. If you label it as something, then that's how we're going to think of it, but perhaps it has another function.
Maybe they're doing something to the water. It's either some kind of energizer. Or
I heard
fire,
this from a friend once when we talked about the water, and of course the water is mentioned in the myth of creation, the primordial water, where everything is created from. So water can heal the planet. If you heal the water, and the water will heal earth and the plants will heal us.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. Running it through this process, benefiting from the different energies, that's a very limited part. Perhaps this can be part of the abilities of this water,
So what we're
like
starting to do now is
what we use for baptizing or purification also.
right.
But of course, it's a very small part of the entire complex. So inside the complex, perhaps it was achieving something else,
Right.
even on its own, that it can be used for purification or healing. Take the pyramid, for example. The label is a tomb,
Yeah.
but everything in it matches the myth of creation: the primordial mound, the primordial water, the bending. All these are elements in the myth of creation from Ion or Heliopolis, city of the sun. So something that's like a transfiguration of the myth of creation, but it's labeled for death. You know? So through this label we look. We're supposed to be looking at something that's about life.
When we have a label that says death.
But the label says death. It's just a thought.
It doesn't feel like a tomb. When you go in that place, it does not feel like a tomb.
Yeah.
It's a different energy.
Strange enough, I was reading in the dictionary about the symbol. You know the Great Pyramid labeled as Akhet. The Pyramid of Akhet. Akhet Mir. And the word Akhet is believed to mean many things. Also depends on the position in the dialogue, that can mean more than one thing. So it's famous to be the horizon. This is the most famous. But in the Vigos dictionary, I read also another explanation for it, and it's both spiritual power and intellectual ability. It cannot be a coincidence, that explanation for that symbol or for this word, because personally, I feel something like that when I visit these sites. I feel that it fed something energetically in me, and also I feel that it gave me some kind of intelligence, really, or awareness or something like that. So, I was amazed when I saw the explanation of this word. You know, like both together, and it's the name of the Great Pyramid. Yeah. I think that's at least part of what it does to you, gives you energetic power. We don't, spiritual, of course, we don't know. Most of people can be confused with something emotional, and they can call it spiritual, in my opinion, of course. But
Profound.
yeah, maybe what can be explained as a spiritual is something just more energetic. Yeah. Again, the label and what does it really mean?
Everybody feels it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that brief interview with Yousef. We have a much longer interview that we shot with Yousef and Mohammed that we'll be releasing fairly shortly here. Yousef and Mohammed are actually leading a tour that we're putting together for November 2018. We're looking for around 25 people to join us. It's a special permissions tour. It's really geared around getting into a lot of sites like the Assyrian, the Bent Pyramid, the Step Pyramid, the sort of the sites that are typically closed off to the public. With this group, we're looking to actually get in and get the permissions to get into those places, as well as visit the regular highlights, Nile Cruise, the Giza Plateau, the museum, all those types of things. If you're interested, check it out. It's on our website, pukaj.com. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you back here soon. Cheers.
Is in the core of the granite walls. If you realized this, in the oh my.
You sure?
It's gonna blow.
All right. Hold on, let me show you here.
Yeah.
I feel it. Oh my God! Yeah, that's a serious shock, though. Really.
It's
Hey,
healing
all right,
actually.
thank you.
It's
Thank you.
healing.
Take them up, Machine.
That's gonna make it stronger for sure.
I will.
Sure. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the rubber was
He's-
helping.
He's closer to Earth.
That's too funny. All right.
Okay.
Your turn.
Why am I holding this?
Yeah, I'm holding this. What are you talking about?
So we're gonna hear the sound of the shock and the speaker.
أيوة.
Yeah, if you touch it directly to the skin, it hurts.
Yeah, it's like a little tingle in the finger.
Yeah, definitely. That's hilarious.